Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Going on his show, you described that as being really pivotal for you in your career.
Yeah. He's the most generous person that I've met with his audience, with his fan base. All he wants is other people to succeed. He brings on comedians, he brings on writers, he brings on journalists. He helps them promote whatever they're doing. He has this huge fan base. He shares it with people. So I'm very lucky that he's had me on a show a bunch of times. And he's a very good friend. And like when I go on the show, we just have the conversation that we would have privately. We have it on a show. So I think that's why people like it.
Podcasting.
Yeah.
It's it's taken on a life of its own. What do you think of podcasting? I mean, it's been on a bit of a journey. Yeah. Obviously, there was this big, I think podcasting was like the OGs of podcasting, like Rogan started out. And then
Adam Carolla, Joe Rogan.
Yeah. And then
Keith and the Girl, a show in New York City, Mark Maron. Those guys were in the very, very early.
Before it was cool, before anyone was really before the money was there.
That's
and
right.
Then the celebrities show up. It was like a bit of an experiment for a couple of years. It seems Spotify have kind of rolled back from that experiment.
Yes, because they have nothing to say. Most celebrities don't. A lot of them, are invented people who are created in a laboratory. The laboratory is CAA, my agency. And they create a person, and they get public relations people, they get lawyers, they get all these people, business managers, agents. They come in and they go, this is who you are. This is what plays. These are the things you highlight about your past. These are the things we don't talk about. Let's leave the Confederate flag at home. They create a person. That person then goes and they're now famous. It's a terrible idea to give that person a microphone and tell them to talk for an hour. It's terrible. Many of these people aren't that talented. Some of them are. Some of them are amazingly talented. Some of them are very, very kind of banal people. People tend to think of Hollywood as this place where it's all satanic pedophiles eating children. Now, undoubtedly, some of that is true, but a lot of it is just very banal, boring people that have been created by these corporations that when you realize how boring they are and then you look at how much money they have and where they live, that's what will drive you nuts. You'll go, oh my God. So that's why podcasting is a really, really bad idea for these people. They should be kept somewhere. They should have very managed things where they come out on the red carpet and they go, how are you doing? And they just go, climate change, and then walk into the auditorium and get an award. They should be allowed to speak 2 to 3 words at once, and they should know what those words are beforehand. It is a terrible idea to give someone, again, these people that all of their interactions are with other famous people. All of their thoughts are filtered through a prism of, corporate lawyers before they can say anything. This is not what podcasting is, in my estimation.
Is there any celebrity podcast that you think is?
I'm sure there's some that are really good. This is not everyone, right? I'm sure there are people that have really good podcasts. But like, if we're just talking in general about let's give A-list actors a microphone, probably not the best idea. Just probably not the best idea,
What's your
Because I know they give Meghan Markle money. They gave a lot of people money there at Spotify, and and so I don't know but then they came out and said we made a mistake. We shouldn't have given these people money.
Do you think you should have gotten the money instead?
Of course, I absolutely believe that, but I can't compel them to give me the money. I can't compel them. I can't get a member of the royal family to marry me. And I would have stayed in that castle, no matter what was said. But I can't have that happen. So I can't, Oprah doesn't interview me. So I have enough money. But sure, I think it's podcasting to me, the fun of podcasting is being unfiltered, free, and just having fun.
Comedy's in an interesting time, it appears, as someone that's not at all involved in comedy at all, because you have these these two forces almost colliding more so than I've really ever seen in my lifetime, which is
good and evil. No, I'm kidding.
No, but it's like correctness and comedy are at war, it seems.
Sure. Well,
and even correctness has now made its way onto the stage of comedy.
Yeah, I think that there is always going to be taboo subjects. There's always going to be things that are harder to make funny than other things. There's always going to be a line. As George Carlin said, your job is to find out where the line is, cross it, You got to get good at stuff to make people laugh at stuff. I like making people laugh at stuff that is inherently maybe a little darker because of the way I grew up. But I got to make sure those jokes are funny enough so that people will laugh at them. And then there's some people that will never laugh at them. There's some people that don't understand comedy. They take it very literally. They don't like it. They like to be bothered by it. They get angry about it. They're unhappy about it. Someone's making someone laugh somewhere and they're angry. I don't know what to do with those people. I don't know how much we can pay attention to those people. I know many of them write articles and, the monologue on television about that they're upset about something. I just don't know how much attention we've paid. We've paid a lot of attention to them over the last 4 years. I think people are a bit exhausted by it. I think people are a bit over it. I think there are people in society that they're allowed to have their reactions to anything you do. You're allowed to hate me, find something I've said offensive, disagree with me. You can write about it, talk about it, whatever you want to do. It's really kind of not my business, and there's only so much attention that I can pay to it. I think that's kind of the way comedians have to look at this stuff. They go like, "Hey, man, we're making jokes, we're having fun. You have the right to be very angry about it and be upset about it." But I mean, again, that's a little crazy in my estimation to be that upset by comedians that have no real power. The thing about comedians, we don't have, but now people say, well, you have cultural power, soft power, whatever. That's sure. But we don't have the type of power that CEOs of large companies do. Our job is not to, move a conversation forward. Our job is not to, our job is to be funny. Now, if we do some other things, if we happen to shed light on something that's good, if we move a conversation forward, if we illustrate a truth, that's a great thing and it's secondary. Our primary job is to be funny, and that's being wrong, that's being stupid, that's being short-sighted, it might be even being bigoted. If it's funny, we're not in the job of being right. We're not in the job of being correct. There are people whose jobs are they have to be right. A surgeon has to be right. They can't just wing it. We are in the job of being funny. So if you confuse those things, which a lot of people out there do, that's where you get this tension, But again, I'm a clown. I perform at comedy clubs and theaters. I do a podcast. If I say something you don't like, it's really, really an infinitesimal chance that anything I say is really going to have the gravity and weight that these people think it does. You want to be looking at other people that have more power. Direct that energy somewhere else.
You say direct that energy somewhere else, but I watched that video of you getting very irate because Rogan, he gets canceled and you don't. And you say some pretty amazing...
Yes, to try to get canceled, yes.
Yeah. You seem uncancelable in many respects.
Well, no. I'm not uncancelable. I'm a goofball. I wear crazy glasses. I'm a comedian. I say things that probably are intelligent. And sometimes people will look at me and go, that's a good take. A lot of the things I say are completely absurd. And I don't even know which is which when I say it. Because I do 2 hours of broadcasting. I've done it for 8 years. And I don't know what I'm going to say until I sit down and I talk. And some of the things I say that are absurd start intelligently. And some of the things I say that are intelligent maybe start absurdly. And that's the fun of it to me. If I knew what I was going to say, or if I had an agenda, if I wanted to say a certain thing, I would get very bored very quickly. But I just try to look at stuff and go, what do I think? What do I think? I'm being told this. What's my reaction, And that's kind of like what I try to do. But yeah, I think I'm goofy. And if people are mad at me, they look stupid sometimes because of how over the top I am about certain things and how wild. And again, a lot of it I think is funny, right? So Joe has a different podcast. He has a podcast where sometimes it's funny, but he has very serious people on. He's the biggest podcast, I think, in the world. I think you guys are maybe the second. Right? You're up there.
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Okay. Clever. But, he's hugely successful and he, does all these really amazing interviews where he researches and he reads books and he's smart and he's talking to somebody, and I'm like shooting from the hip. I'm just going off the top of my head. And like halfway through a story, I'll go, oh no. And I'll just go the other way on it because I'll realize sometimes I'll read the third paragraph. I'll be dismissing the whole thing. And then when I get to the third paragraph, I go, oh, this is a problem. So it is. And that's what I think makes it funny.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.